In March 2019, 1 year after Jamaica's 8th Chief Justice Bryan Sykes took office, he said his vision was for Jamaica's judiciary to be the best in the Caribbean in 3 years. That would have been by March 2022, and among the best in the world in 6 years, which will be March 2025. So how is he doing? And by extension, how are we doing? I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Thanks so much for joining us for this special program as Chief Justice Sykes joins us for the first time on All Angles, and we'll have him for the full hour. Thank you so much for coming in, sir.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with some comments from members of the public.
Like it's working now. From Justice Sykes take over, like it's working. For them say them clear up how much hundreds of case backlog what them have, and it move right, smooth right now going along. It's moving, it's going good so far. Since Justice Sykes and everything going good for it now. For do up a case somebody says have backlog, how much years backlog you have to wait on that. Case now take less than a year now for finish on them something. So it's moving in a good direction.
There is no justice in Jamaica for the lower class. No justice.
What issues do you have with the justice system?
Right now, I whole heap of madness in the justice system. Justice system, not straight right now. Crime on top of crime. Crime I get worse. You see me? So I whole heap of madness. The justice system, I whole heap of work pan.
Yeah, the justice system is not right. But look how a man in the jail for how much years. And we call it him appeal, and them say the script no reach in time that him could have able for we call it get him something rectified. Him only of 16 years. I don't know if you see a paper in a recent paper this year. Yesterday I think or the day before. Justice system no right. Because that man should in there for so long, him appeal and it gone, it no reach. It no reach. 16 years I think I see that the paper must go look back up for the paper. If there was some farmer good technology, something, it shouldn't be that way.
So before I go into some of the specifics mentioned there, how do you think you're doing?
Not where we need to be, but we're heading in the right direction.
Have you met the timelines you had set out?
In some things, yes, some things we're ahead, some things we're behind. So in respect of the parish courts, we're ahead by 2 years. And in respect of the Supreme Court, we are still not where we need to be. We are still not clearing the backlog in the Supreme Court. Even though we have improved, we still need to be doing over 100 cases for every case coming in.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about that, but let me go back to one of the points that one of the gentlemen in the Vox Pop mentioned. And the court system, as I know you're aware, has come in for a whole heap of criticism in recent years because of the failure to produce trial transcripts in a timely fashion. And just to give you just a few examples, and they're whole heap. So, for instance, Brian Russell had been sentenced to 11 years in 2015 on firearm and robbery charges. Took 8 years for his appeal to be heard. Stand Up for Jamaica, Jamaicans for Justice and Public Law Chambers said that that kind of matter showed real deficiencies in access to justice, including delays in providing trial transcripts. And we also had a couple other cases that were carried in the paper this year in July. Gleaner headline, 8-year wait for transcripts, slows imprisoned taxi drivers appeal. Another story carried in July this year was headlined A Total Disgrace. A farmer, John Murray, in that case had waited for 5 years. His convictions were quashed, but he said in the time he was locked up, he lost everything, including his dignity, and his 3 children suffered. And of course, there's a Ray Morgan case that went all the way to the Privy Council, which spoke of a miscarriage of justice and the need to prevent failures in the justice system. And I just want to have our viewers just watch this very short excerpt from our reporting on that story a little bit earlier on.
February 12, 2011, a seminal day in recent legal history. It's the day Raymond Morgan filed an appeal against his conviction. This, the president of the appeal court says, caused the matters to take, quote, a turn that is hoped will not be repeated in this jurisdiction. That because the appeal was filed incorrectly in the appeal court. The appeal court took a year to act on it, and further, there has been absolute silence from the parish court since that time. The appeals of hundreds of other inmates without lawyers are also lagging, a concern for attorney Terence Williams.
And we wanted to see if we could see if there could be a proper legal solution, and as well as a legal solution, a proper the matter could be brought to the attention of the executive, because it is also a resource problem to ensure that transcripts can be prepared quickly and persons can have their appeals heard in time.
Okay. So our producer Giovanni Dennis had been reporting on that story. And even before I get to what is happening, when you hear those cases, and Terence Williams and John Clark have been working on several, as well as other attorneys, when you hear of those cases, do you feel ashamed of how the justice system has failed some of these people?
Well, I would say it's a source of great distress, because that should be happening in any modern legal system. You should have a system in which the transcripts are prepared in time, within the time set down by the law, so that persons can pursue their appeals, particularly those where the convictions are overturned. Then it means that they would have a conviction recorded against their names for an extended period of time. So that is not acceptable in any criminal justice system, especially one of the 21st century. So let us agree on that. The question now is, how are we going to fix it? Because there are some systemic challenges both within the Supreme Court and within the parish courts. So what has been happening within the parish courts, which I have spoken about before, is this, that we have had an increase in the number of judges in those courts. So most courts now have at least two, most parishes now have at least 2 to 3 judges. But the support in terms of the preparation of transcript has not kept pace with the number of judges and the range of offences and matters that those courts deal with.
Can I ask you to hold that thought for just a moment for me? Let's go to the break. We're going to pick up with that very important point when we come back after the break. Remember our WhatsApp line, it's 3810072. Give us your first name, your general location. We'll soon come.